I'm just going to go to a piece of print marketing because the example I saw was an open house flyer. So the way that you can get the link is simply by, when you're on it, in the top right corner, it gives you that option to share. And instead of sharing the design link, I shared the project, but it is going to open up to a page with these gray margins on the left and right. So I inserted this in an iframe, but it's going to show this area here and this area here. But it still looks like pretty good. I just can't get it centered within that. So I came here, I grabbed this, I went to generator.com. I put this in here. Oops. And then I made the, actually I didn't do the scroll bar margins, but I did change this to 1100 and then 9. Actually, that doesn't make sense. And I can generate and I can preview what it looks like. I think we've been over this, so actually that's pretty good. But even in here, it's not really showing up as centered. We can try this one more time, I guess, with the width. Let's do 25. We're actually, it's not letting me switch to percent.
Yeah, the iframe generator doesn't do percentage in that because it's nerd answer is because you can't put percentages inside attribute tags directly.
Well, it doesn't look like it is centering anything. But anyway, I can grab that iframe code and I can come back here. I'm going to do this one more time. One more time. I don't think it's going to help with the 50 and 50 on the sides either, but we'll find out. Creating a new page on my agent site. Iframe test 2. I'm going to do the download my app and the text. And here we go.
All right, so I'm going to interrupt you here real quick. Danny, under that style equals quote border 0px and then the hex none semicolon. Click after the semicolon, type in display, and then put a colon. And then type in block and then put a semicolon. And then type in margin, put a colon, and then 0, and then a space, and then the word auto, and then a semicolon.
It's published. Let's see what happens. Oh, whoa. David, who's the man? Actually, I can't tell if it was your code or if it was.
It was my code. It was my code. It was 100% my code.
Oh my God, that's so good. Okay.
I put in the chat the one I was working on, and I got that to work with the same style code.
Okay, and then here's the full Actually, wait, no, that isn't the full code with it added. So yeah, I don't have that full thread of code with what David added, but okay, great job, David. Thank you very much. At least it's in the recording. You can see what I type in the recording. It shows me typing it. So we can all refer back to this video. I will clip out the beginning fails and I'm just going to post the success part. So this is going to end up being like a 5-minute video. But fabulous. Oh my gosh, David, thank you so much. So that's how you can embed this. I did an image, but you can do the same thing with a web page. You would just use the web page in the, where is the generator? In the iframe generator. Instead of like I did the viewer rebrand, you can just paste the URL here of that page you're embedding. So success. Any questions? Tech Guru David, yeah. Yes, John.
Was that David or John?
That was John who said that. Tech Guru David, yeah.
I mean, I can also say it.
Yeah, thank you, David. I wouldn't have been able to figure that out.
Oh, I was barely able to figure it out.
You know, I saw some online forums that said in a block style, but I just don't know. I don't know how to execute that or do the code. And then I would see the pieces of code, but then the way that the code, people that know that talk about it, I couldn't tell where to put it.
Right. So what we're doing is we're trying to change the CSS elements of the page. Which is like you have more availability to manipulate what goes on the page with CSS than you do with like direct HTML attributes. So like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Nobody cares.
Well, it's convoluted. I just can't follow, but I understand when you say that these things need to go here and sort of why we're doing that.
Right, because you can see you have the height and the width there as direct HTML attributes towards the bottom of the iframe stuff. So you have margin width equals 50 px, height equals 1100 px, width equals 900 px. That's like an old HTML style of updating those things. And CSS under the style tag allows us like so many more options to do things. You could do like hue flips, you could do all sorts of crazy stuff. And the margin percentage and auto thing is like this whole new math thing that just makes browsers easier to display stuff.
So I did just want to recap on, so we did style equals, and then I inserted that after border, like before the 0, after the colon, right?
No, after the semicolon.
Where it says none, semicolon. Okay, so after this is where I put display colon block semicolon. And wasn't there one more thing I put?
Margin colon 0 space auto semicolon.
Oh my God, it's so complicated. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch this video again.
I kind of put a little bit of it in the chat too.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking. Okay, now I see the other chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically like the semicolon says, hey, we're going to edit a new thing. So in that first one, you're editing the border, and then everything that follows the colon says, we're going to do this to the border. So we're going to make the border 0px, which means non-existent. And then we're going to make it the hexadecimal color of 6fs, which is white. And then none, usually there's like an attribute like dashed or solid that goes there. And then it says semicolon, we're done talking about border. So now we're gonna talk about display. How do we want it to display? And then Danny, your eyes, you're like, oh my God, David, stop talking. So now we're saying like display, we're gonna give display a thing. And we're going to tell display to display as block. There's a whole bunch of different ways to display. You can even say none to make it not display. And then the semicolon says we're done talking about display. And then we say margin, and we're going to give it a set of instructions. And if you give margin 2 numbers, the first one's always vertical and the second one's horizontal. If you give it 4 numbers, it's like a clock with the first number being up, right, down, left, right.
You have to give it a number if it's auto.
So the number auto, this is the new CSS element of being able to do the math for you. So it takes the whole width of the web page, no matter like how you resize it, and it goes, hey, just automatically figure out what the middle is.
Okay, all right. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, this stuff's so hard for me to explain because I've been doing it for so long. So
when you're explaining it to people that don't know code,
but I don't know how to not explain it anymore.
I think it made sense. Well, thank you, David. That's really all that I wanted to accomplish in this class today. So thanks for making that possible, David. I appreciate you so much jumping on this call. And Francis, what's this?
Well, I created it and I'm having the same problem you are. I'm not trying to put those code in that he's telling me about, but I don't know how to move it around.
Okay, so can I see the iframe code that you've pasted in for this mortgage calculator, Francis?
Yeah.
Can you just paste it in the chat?
Francis, co-host, you can share your screen too if you want to, Francis.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, you are missing one thing in that style, which is very important because iframes typically have a display type of it's not absolute, it's something, doesn't matter. You have to tell it to display as a block within the element. So I'm just going to take your code here and I'm going to paste in the one thing that you're missing, which is the display : block.
Okay.
So it kind of sits like free on the page this way. So when it does the math for margins, it's like, no, I'm just sitting like free on the page. I don't really exist anywhere on the page. But by telling it block, it's like, okay, now this needs to confine with this. So now it's telling it like, oh, now we need to make it auto. Gosh, I hope that makes sense.
It does. And actually it displays it too when I put the code in, it just shows the web page. Remember how the link didn't work? Like
it
just
used to
populate?
do that. Yeah.
No, it did it. After you fixed my code, it did it.
Let's see your finished link, Francis.
I refreshed that page.
Okay, let me see. It looks great.
Yeah. Okay. That's exciting. I'm gonna save this code.
So yeah, one thing that like is kind of missing from this as well is I would probably change scrolling to yes as opposed to no. So that way you can scroll within the iframe because it looks like it ends, what is it? 800 pixels down from that embedded site. So you can see there's like more in that page, but since scrolling is set to no, it won't let you scroll any further.
Let me change it right now. Okay, so how do I get back to the code? Because now it's showing the web page for me.
So you have to go
Delete and recreate.
I have to actually delete. Yeah, you have to delete that content block.
Oh, okay. And then just re-add the block on there. Got it. Okay. Awesome.
Super helpful.
Yeah. Just gonna throw that yes in there.
Should we be taking CSS and HTML classes or what?
No. Short answer, ask Danny how to do something, and then Danny asked me how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. You can refresh that page now. Scrolling is set to yes.
Oh, wow. Oh my
Oh,
God.
fancy.
Fancy. Even the pop-up.
Yeah.
So cool. Mind blown. Thanks, David.
Yeah, I love this stuff. Yeah, I got to get back into Command because I've been doing my own thing for a while. But it's fun to try to figure out, like, okay, what trick can I throw into this software?